Eppi, come on up, Eppi. Everybody here know Mirelles Epstein? Eppi? Eppi was the man who started my father's place, who brought all the big acts into Long Island. He was just a small kid back at the time. Check, check. I don't know if anybody here knows the real reason why Eppi started my father's place and why he was in the music business. Well, here's the reason. Take it easy. Hold on a second. Check. Check, check. Hey, Baldy, quiet back there. Anyway, excuse me. I don't feel well. Do I have to come over there and kick the shit out of you guys? Okay.
You talking to us?
I want to tell you why Eppi became a club owner. All right. Years ago, 1968, 69, and during the years of free love and drugs and all the partying and stuff, Eppi had a hard time. Eppi, are you supposed to introduce me first, or am I supposed to introduce you? Okay. We used to go to all these parties, and everybody would end up with their girls and going out and getting laid because of free love and stuff. But Eppi had a hard time. In fact, Eppi was the kid who, you know, when you went to the party, he was the kid who was upstairs with the mother of the kid who was throwing the party, sitting in the kitchen. He never had a chance. So one night he got real depressed after the party. He asked this woman if she would go out with him. She was 55 and divorced, and she turned him down. So he decided that that was the day he was going to commit suicide. This wasn't worth living if he couldn't get a girlfriend. So on the way home to Rockville Center, he stopped at Silver Lake, this little duck pond in the area, and he stood on the bridge and took a header into the water. When he woke up, there was a man cradling his head, and the man had long hair and a beard. And there was a big halo surrounding him, a big glow of light. So Eppi opened up his eyes and he looked at him and he said, "Oh my God, am I dead in heaven? Are you God?" So the guy said, "No, you're okay, you're still alive, you're not in heaven, but come with me and I'll help you out." So he walked over to the park bench, and the guy said to Eppi, "What's your problem? Is it a woman?" And Eppi said, "Yeah, I just can't get a woman." So the man said to him, "Listen, let me help you out over here." He said, "There's this guy in Hicksville, not a good-looking guy, he plays piano, his name is Billy. But because he plays piano, he's getting laid a lot. So tomorrow morning, you go over to the biggest music store they have over in Hempstead, and you try out a piano, maybe this will work out for you." So Eppi was all excited. The next day he got up and he ran over to that music store and he sat behind the piano. But because of his natural girth, he wasn't able to reach the sharps and flat keys. So he was very depressed. He went back that night to the pond, and the man was sitting on the park bench. And Eppi looked at the man and he said to him, "Listen, it was very embarrassing today. I don't know if you know what happened." And the man said to him, "I know what happened. You couldn't reach the sharps and flats. But I've been thinking about this all day, and there's this real fat guy from Forest Hills who plays guitar named Leslie. And he gets a lot of girls at the end of the night because he plays guitar. So why don't you go over to the music store tomorrow and you try out a guitar and see if it'll work for you." So Eppi's all excited. The next morning he runs over to the music store. He puts a guitar on and he starts to strum. But again, because of his natural girth, he's muting all the strings. Not a sound comes out. So he puts the guitar down, he's all depressed. He shows up at the lake again that night and the man is sitting there. And he says to the man, "You're not going to believe what happened." The man says, "I heard about it, I know all about it. I've been thinking about it all afternoon." He said, "Maybe the drums are what you need. Tomorrow you go to the music store and you try and play the drums and see what happens." Eppi runs over to the music store the next day all excited, sits behind the drum, starts playing the hi-hat, the snare when he goes to hit the tom-toms. Again, his natural girth gets in the way. He can't reach the tom-toms. He's all depressed, he's freaked out. He goes back to the pond that night and the man is sitting there. And he says to the guy, "You're not going to believe what happened." And the guy says, "I heard what happened. I know it's embarrassing, but it can't be half as embarrassing as it was when they had to take the stool out of your ass." Eppi says, "Yeah, I know, it's real embarrassing." So the guy says, "Listen, I've been thinking about this." He said, "You know, you and me and John Stewart, we all belong to the same tribe that runs CNN. Why don't you get into the business end of it? There's a place that they're renting out in Roslyn that would make a great club. So why don't you go over there, sign a lease, go over to the music store and buy a nice PA, and bring in some good talent and see what happens. Eppi runs over there that afternoon, signs the lease, he's all excited, goes by the PA. He signs, goes back to the place, and the next couple of weeks he brings in all this great talent. At the end of the night, every night he goes home with a different little girl. He invites them back to his hot tub for a Coke and a smile, and he's loving his life. One night he's sitting in the club at the office and he says, you know, I never went back to thank that guy. Now that I think about it, I think that was God who came down from heaven. So he goes back to the lake that night, and there it is. The man is sitting on the park bench again. So Eppi walks up to him and he says to him, I just want to thank you. Did you hear what happened? The guy says, yeah, I know what happened. Everything is working out perfect for you. I'm happy for you. So Eppi says to the guy, well, let me ask you a question. Why did God come down from up there to save my life and lead me in the right direction? So the guy says to him, what are you talking about? So he says, well, aren't you God? You told me you came from up there when you saw me and you saved my life when I jumped into the water. The guy said to him, no, I just live on the hill up there. The guy said to him, well, and Eppi said to him, well, the long hair and the big glow around the head. The guy says to him, no, Eppi. He says, that was the light from the street light, just make a big glow behind my head. So Eppi says, well, if you're not God, who are you? And the guy says to him, my name is Sam Ash. I was just trying to sell you a musical instrument. And the rest is history. The man who started my father's place and brought in all the great talent, including the good rats, Eppi Epstein.
Wow. Thank you. I'm not going to introduce this band, but they have to come on stage. When they do, give them a great applause. You know, when you close your eyes and you listen to them, you'll think it's 1976.
And then when you close your eyes and open it, you'll say, well, these guys get old and fat.